and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to make just my home style chicken noodle soup. Truth be told, I've never really written this recipe down. I've constantly over the years just kind of add this, add that. You know, you got your basics in your chicken noodle soup, obviously chicken, but I've never really written it down. I'm just kind of, most of the time, I won't lie, in the kitchen I'm just kind of here, this looks good, that looks good, put that in, leave that out. And I never write down the measurements or anything like that. So this is my attempt showing you guys how I make my chicken noodle soup and trying to get some kind of basis of a recipe down. Okay. First of all, I usually start with, I've got 24 cups of water here. I've got my great big stock pot going. It's gonna take quite a while for it to heat up. That's okay, I've got all day. If you wanna make this recipe, you kind of need all day. Okay, there's a couple different ways you can get your bones for the stock. Of course, I'm not really making a stock here. I'm making just the base of my soup. A lot of times we have roast chicken, and I end up saving the bones of that roast chicken and any chicken we have left over and kind of taking the meat off the bone, putting it in the freezer, or actually if all we have left over is the actual bones, then I usually chop them up and put them in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag and stick them in the freezer, because I can always make either a soup or a broth later. But what I did this time was, my grocery store always has sales on their chicken legs and quarters for like 59 cents a pound, which you can't beat that. And so I picked up a couple of those. I baked those off last night for supper. We ended up having leftovers. That's okay. And then I also had a couple of chicken breasts in the freezer that I was wanting to use up. So I kind of baked those off with, and I knew what I was going to do with them. I had a plan. So I ended up deboning all of the meat, or trying to get most of the meat off of my chicken bones, and I'm going to just add those right to my 24 cups of water. I actually ended getting about that much meat. I don't usually like dark meat, but in a soup it'll be okay. About 3 cups, I'd say. To my water, I want to add a couple of sprigs of rosemary, I'm sorry, and kind of break those up. There's probably, okay, to get a measurement, I'm saying this is about 3 sprigs. There was one, and then this one is actually quite large. I'm going to take that woody part right off. And then I want 1 large onion. And I just add that right to my water. Now, because I'm actually making the chicken noodle soup, to make a stock, I would actually add more. I would add some carrots and celery just to kind of up that flavor, but I'm going to be adding those later once I make my soup. But I also have 3 tablespoons, and I use the kosher salt. I don't know, I just like the kosher salt, so I got 3 tablespoons of that. Now, I'm just gonna give that a good stir. Get my spoon here. And I am gonna let this sit here on the burner, simmering all day long. It is now about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I am gonna let this guy, well no, it's not 9, it's 9 o'clock, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let this guy go. I'm gonna say 5 hours, and I will see you back at the 5-hour mark. Okay, YouTube, I am back. I lied. It has been about 3 hours, not 5. Like I said, I have yet to write this recipe down. This is one of those I just cook it kind of recipes where I don't know, I eyeball everything. So I'm trying to document this now so I have a recipe for the future. I'm trying to set this up over the sink, that way if there's any spills, it's not gonna really damage much. But I have a strainer here, and a colander would also work. I'm basically trying to, and I really hope this doesn't steam up the camera, but look how much that cooked down. I don't know if you can see this very well, but the water line you can see was up here. It's all the way down there, and we've got a delicious broth. My house smells like Sunday dinner. And we're just going to gently and carefully, as to not burn or splash everywhere, trying to get all of our onions and our bones and everything out of our liquid. All right, set that aside. Make sure it's drained well. You want all of that stuff in there. That's what's gonna taste good. And then we're left with our broth. I'm gonna go back over to the stove so that way I can finish this up. Okay, I am back. I'm just gonna finish cooking off in this pot perfectly fine. I have 5 stalks of celery, just kind of diced up, a rough chop. If you like more celery, go ahead and add more. If you don't like as much, that's fine. Personally, I don't care for a whole lot of celery, but I find 5 just kind of gives it that flavor I'm looking for. And it kind of all depends on how much broth I got out of that too. I have 1 package of carrots. Now I love carrots, that's why I'm gonna have to add the whole package right on in there. I'm not even gonna chop them. All right, then I have about, I have maybe about 2 cups of chicken that I have salvaged from, like I said, I cooked, they weren't even whole chicken breasts, they were split. I had those in the freezer, and then I had those leg and thigh quarters in the freezer. Just baked those off, salvaged the bones, and picked off as much meat as I could. Now I'm gonna turn my stovetop back on to a high heat, and I'm actually gonna add, let's see, I'm gonna add about 2 cups of water. It's about 8 cups, so there we go, there's a mess. All right, I've added about 2 cups of water. It all kind of depends on how much broth you have from when you had made your original chicken broth. At this point, you're going to want to kind of taste it. I feel like soups are kind of a trial and error. See, I think that's pretty good. I'm not even going to add any salt because when I cooked my chicken, I did salt my chicken. So at this point, the 3 tablespoons of salt stand, in my opinion. And we can always resalt this later if we find that it's not quite flavorful enough. All right, I'm gonna turn my stovetop back on to high. I might even cover it this time. And basically, I'm cooking it long enough for those vegetables to cook all the way through. Once they're cooked all the way through, I'll bring you back and we'll add our noodles and will be probably the final product. Okay, I will be right back. Okay, YouTube, my soup has been on the boil now for, well, it's actually not a boil. I let it go to a simmer, and my carrots, I kind of tasted one. They're completely cooked through, and so is my celery. I couldn't think off the top of my head. Now, I have a 1 pound package of the egg noodles. I don't think that this is gonna take the whole package. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I'm gonna add half at a time, stir it down, see if I'm happy with that. And this is also the time I'm gonna taste it. Make sure that I'm happy with the salt. The carrot was delicious, so I'm assuming the broth is gonna be great. Yep, that's great. And then I'm gonna also add 2 more cups of water. Just to kind of help those noodles cook. Like I said, I added about half a package of the 1 pound noodles, so it's about a half a pound of noodles. And now I'm just gonna let this simmer until those noodles are completely cooked through. Alright guys, my battery is literally just about to die. My noodles have cooked up for about 10 minutes. I gave them a taste. It's delicious. I don't need to add any more salt, nothing like that. I know this recipe was kind of all over the place. It's different than my normal. In fact, I don't have this recipe written down anywhere. So I will try to put everything that I did down in the description box below. This is just a nice home cooked from start to finish kind of meal, and an idea to use up your leftover chicken or roast chickens. You know, you can use the stuff you get, the rotisserie chickens you get from the grocery store, or one you made on your own, or like I did, and I had leg and thigh quarters for super cheap at my grocery store, and made a super cheap but very filling and delicious homemade dinner. If you guys liked today's video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you like what I do here, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.